Daisy and I went to see The Wild Robot yesterday. It's this animated thing.
Okay. I was going to say, what is that?
Beaches in the Color Purple were the first 2 movies to ever make me cry. They look like comedies compared to this animated film.
Oh, give me an animated film. I'll cry through the whole thing.
Daisy was worried about me. I was crying so hard.
Up. Anything with animals. Up. Mike was like, what did we just see?
I know.
Can't watch March of the Penguins. Cry through the entire thing.
Don't see Wild Robot if you want to live, fam. But go see it. It's so good.
I know March of the Penguins is not animated. I'm just saying.
Penguins aren't real.
They are.
Hi, Julia Benzavali.
Hi, Patrick Hines.
Oh, fam. Listen, join us over on the Patreon. It just gets better and better and better over there. I was thinking, just in the last couple of months, we've added interviews with Kathy from Into the Fire, Josh Hallmark from True Crime Bullshit, the whole Israel Keys thing. Yep. We did an interview with Skye Borgman, who directed the Lacey Peterson doc. So in addition to the Drag Bingo and the 400-plus full bonus episodes, you get interviews with some of the most interesting people in our world.
Yeah, and they all have a lot to say, and we're grateful for it.
They really do. The Kathy interview, my God.
Oh, my God.
What a force of nature, literally. She's like literal fire.
Love her.
What are we talking about today, girl?
Hi, welcome to one of those surprise bonus episodes, which really isn't a surprise anymore, but here it is. This is a very, very, very highly requested episode, especially by one Ms. Robbie Roselle.
I didn't know until we got into it. I was like, oh my God, this is Robbie's case. This is the case that Robbie cares about. If you guys don't know who Robbie Roselle is, we talk about.
He's like educated. No,
he's the third co-host.
Yeah.
It's at Diva Robbie everywhere. Just go find him. He's so funny. He's our best gay.
But he really was like, have you not done this case yet?
It's like community theater and murder. I mean, it's tragic and horrible and sad. And
it's insane. Everyone in it is fucking crazy.
Everyone in it is crazy. But I don't know. I might believe her.
Oh, God. All right. Let's dive right in. Hi, Joshy Manx. Joshy Manx is our host.
Oh, Joshy Manx is our host.
A new chapter in the story of a young actress starring in the role of a lifetime. A mystery.
You never heard a gunshot?
No.
One of her friends was dead.
There's been a body discovered in Sam's apartment.
It's so hard. She was 23.
Another friend was missing and wanted.
You've got a dead woman in his apartment. This guy is potentially very dangerous.
We were pretty confident he was our guy.
2 mysteries to solve, but one evasive witness.
Rachel didn't tell us any of this the day before.
I told the truth to the best of my capability.
Police wondered, had another murder been planned?
They said if you would have gone back that day, they wanted to kill you.
Did Rachel have a secret?
What did you do?
I think you know what I did.
Would she keep it?
This is as diabolical as any case I've ever seen.
Or was the curtain about to close?
Rachel's counting the last piece.
Correct.
They're trying to say I'm somebody that I'm not. This is my life. This is my entire future.
We hear this call between a man and a woman. We don't really know who they are yet. They are just hours from getting married. And he says to her, I'm going to go do something right now. And you're not going to see me for the rest of your
Great.
life.
Going in cold, I instantly hate this guy. Way too much drama. I don't like his tone. No. I can immediately tell he's like an insecure, selfish, dramatic nightmare.
Yeah, he's just a man. He's just a straight white man.
Get him away from me.
Get out of here. Rachel, the woman, says, what did you do? He says, I think you know what I did. I'm not so sure, to be honest.
I mean... And this is an update from a story from 2016. So they're like, Dateline's going to tell us the story and then wrap it up because, as we're told, this is, quote, the final curtain.
The final curtain. So in 2016, Dateline did a story about this woman, Rachel, and her fiance, Dan Wozniak. And like you said, we're going back to the beginning. We're going back to that part of the story. It's Orange County, California. We're at the Camden Martinique apartments, mostly occupied by students from nearby colleges.
Yeah, very, very young community, like pools, hot tubs. It's where everyone wanted to be. Every college kid in town, and also Violet Randolph and her then husband.
I said Violet seems like maybe she's been to some Indigo Girls concerts between then and now. I'm
just listening to Silent all these years on a loop. That's
100%. She's thrilled about the rise of Chapel Roan.
You know?
I'm just saying, girl, it's nice over here.
It's great.
Yeah.
We have fun. We have great music. My thing is...
Great festivals.
You know, Violet seems lovely.
Yes.
She does. She's here. She's seemingly on the right side of history. It's just because she says about Dan and Rachel, who are college kids, by the way.
There's finally a couple who's a little more mature, the wine drinkers as opposed to the hard liquor, and met them and thought, perfect. How could we go wrong?
wine instead of hard liquor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, right.
And what's wrong with hard liquor, Violet?
It's not, that isn't even my issue.
As I'm sipping my bourbon watching this I'm like, oh, what's wrong with bourbon, girl?
It's not even, that's
Lilith
so funny.
Fair poured great drinks.
That's not even what I was thinking at all. Why are they living in the college apartments when Violet and her husband are clearly not college age? And what I'm saying is, even if you graduated last year, get out of those apartments.
It's true. It really does seem like the funnest spot in town. Not a gay person in sight, by the way.
I'm not shaming anyone. I don't know anyone's circumstances. I'm just saying, to me, it's like Violet and her then husband, and like we'll learn like all of the college kids.
It's true because it really does seem like it was Party Central day and night. You know what I mean?
And also, I don't think I'm alone in this. I haven't been back to my college since I graduated.
No.
So I feel like I'm not living in like the party dorm. No. I'm out.
My
whole
building.
life is a party dorm now. I don't have to live at the like college apartments. You know, I don't know Violet's circumstance. I just am curious about why she's still living.
Can I tell you, you're not going to believe this about me, but when I was going to Emerson, we had a choice between 3 dorms. It was the little building, which was the biggest one, which was like the party dorm.
And then the one made of straw, and then the one made out of bricks.
Yeah, exactly. But there was then like the smaller one and then the smallest one. And I was going to be so studious. I was going to be such a good student. I wanted nothing to do with the party dorm. Put me in the smallest dorm.
But you're scared of everything, so I understand why you would not want to be in the party dorm. Someone's going to shove coke up your nose.
Well, they're going to force me. They're going to hold me down in the bathroom and put a needle full of cocaine in my arm.
Make you snort marijuana.
I got to tell you, I lived in that tiny dorm for 1 year. I was like, get me. I can't be with these nerds. I got to go to the party dorm. Get me to the party dorm.
Wow.
I loved the party dorm.
Yeah,
eventually.
Of course. I mean, until you didn't. When did you start going to bed at 8 o'clock?
That's when I had a kid. That really that was kind of, or like when I started TCO and I had to do this and my 5 other jobs, and so I needed the time to like get up early in the morning.
But even pre-TCO, we were only going to happy hour at like 4 p.m.
It's true.
We were like not out at nighttime.
No, I was always the kid that woke up.
By design, by you.
I was always the kid that woke up at 4 a.m. to do my homework in high school. Okay. I didn't do homework at night. I did homework in the morning. I'm a morning person.
No shit.
I'm a morning person.
I was just curious. Okay, great.
Yeah.
So Dan and Rachel met doing community theater.
Which can we pause for a moment for the community theater of it all?
You know.
Like, why are we going to tarnish the good name of community theater?
Well, like, not all community theater people. I'm going to talk a lot of shit about the musical that they're in, and I'm going to say it when we say it, and I'm going to say it now. Everyone else is a superstar.
Yes.
Everyone, cast, crew, front of house, you're all great. If you're Dan and Rachel, I hate you. But everyone else, you shined on that stage.
Here's my
plea.
on that stage? Yeah, shown. We got to stop doing Miss Saigon and Les Mis in community theater. That's my only ask. Anything else is fair game.
Also, if you're a bunch of white people, don't do In the Heights or Hairspray or like The Color Purple. Yeah. Have you seen those?
I mean, like the high school productions of this? Yeah.
Like, please.
Yeah, I know.
And
we got a lot of asks.
When you're an all-white high school, is what I'm saying. When you're predominantly white, like, we're not going to In the Heights. We're just not doing it. We're not going to Washington Night.
You got to do Annie again.
It's
got to be Bye Bye Birdie again.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, but the reverse can also be like, give me a fucking diversified Bye Bye Birdie. I'm in love with that.
Totally.
But see how you can't do it. Yeah. You can't have, like, Jimmy McGee playing Usnavi. Right. You hear me?
I want Patrick Hines as Usnavi.
Right.
No, that would be an Oops Navi. Right. Do you know what I mean?
Like 100%.
Be a big oops Navi.
Rachel Buffett as Nina Rosario. No. Also, like, do you know what In the Heights is about? It doesn't matter. So Dan and Rachel met doing community theater. Then they broke up, and then they met a few years later doing more community theater and started dating. And Joshy Manx is like, "Oh man, you two were in love, huh?" And Rachel's like,
Yeah.
He had already kind of become my best friend, and I was hanging out with him so often.
So he said, I am falling for you. Give me a chance. And you thought what?
I don't want to lose my best friend.
Were you in love?
Shortly after we moved in together, that's when I realized, oh yeah, I am in love with this person.
Well, Josh, I wasn't expecting to be asked about my fiance. Shortly, she like really thinks about it. She's like, well, shortly after moving in with him, I realized, I guess I am in love with this person.
Yeah.
Warm is not a word I'd use to describe Rachel.
Warm is not a word I would use to describe
Like, Josh Mankiewicz thought that was a softball question. We're talking about your fiance. Like, so that's just like, how's the weather? He's just like, so you loved him, right?
Yeah,
she's like, love. I don't know, Josh. Love?
That's kind of a personal
I was going to marry the guy, but love? Who's throwing... Whoa, Josh, why are we throwing love around?
Yeah, I don't know. But we also learned there were always money troubles. They're picking up odd jobs. One time she worked as a Disney princess.
Right, like they're young, they're in love, they're theater kids. Everyone's rooting for them. Whatever.
They're young, they live together. They're responsible for each other's financial futures.
They're both there. They're roommates. They were roommates. But like Violet and all the other townspeople in the Hoppin College dorm apartment are all, quote, rooting for them.
And we learned, like, again, the apartment complex was just best friends. It was Melrose Place 24 hours a day. Everyone's all over each other. We learned about another guy who lives there. His name is Sam Hare.
Yeah.
He's 26 years old. He's an Army veteran.
Yeah, he served in Afghanistan, super focused, like really, really, really determined to finish college.
Yeah, like mature and responsible.
We also meet Julie Kibuishi, and she is Sam's tutor. So she was like, Sam wanted to stay on track and graduate, and Julie was here to help him make that happen.
Yeah, and there's nothing going on between Julie and Sam. We find that out later, but like she's his tutor. They're both young and hot, but nothing is happening.
Yeah, like she really wanted to help him and support him, and she also was like, wait, I'm the tutor?
Right.
How well he does reflects on me. Like Julie was very, very focused on what like her role was
and
here.
She like lives at home with her parents. We see a lot of Julie's mom. Her mom is awesome and like loves Julie to pieces.
Right. So Sam's place is kind of like the home base for all the hangouts. Like that was the apartment that everyone was always at all the time. And Julie lived at home, but she was like always at this apartment complex, and she really connected with Rachel, they say.
Yeah. So we jump to Friday, May 21st, 2010. Sam is texting Julie all day long, saying things. We see the text messages. Can you come over tonight at midnight alone? Going out for a bit. Very upset.
Very upset. Need to talk. Then, please, no sex. I need to talk to someone. Julie texted back, LOL, ew, Sam, we're like bro and sis. No sex. And then Sam texted again. I'm hurting with some bad fam crap. I can't be alone. No sex. Please, I'm begging as a brother.
Julie's like, don't worry, I'm your tutor. Like, what is going on? And also, I'm like, this isn't Sam.
Well,
this can't be Sam. This just makes nobody texts like this.
Right, exactly.
Nobody. This
Can you
makes
come
no
over
sense.
at midnight alone?
I can't. I'm hurting. But it's like you're going out and then you're coming back. It's just like
Sam,
no
can we
sex.
make a rule? If somebody, no matter how well you know them, asks you to come over at midnight alone via text message, you don't do it.
Or you could say FaceTime. Prove it.
But exactly.
Prove it.
Exactly.
Because this is not Sam.
No.
So Julie goes to Sam's place because she's a good friend.
Right.
And Julie does not come home.
No. So the next morning, Julie's mom is worried. She hasn't come home all night. Across town, we meet Sam's dad, Steve. He's also really worried because he can't get a hold of Sam. And Sam, we're also going to learn, like, this is kind of important to note. Sam, like many people I know who served overseas, came back and they were troubled.
Of course.
You know? Like, Sam was waking up in the middle of the night.
Them.
No, he's having night terrors. Like, that's an important part of this story. Like, Sam actually was kind of vulnerable, which is why I think Julie, when she's told, like, please come over, I need someone to talk to, like as a good friend, it makes sense to her.
Of course.
You know? And also, like, Sam's dad is also really involved in his life. He's got a key to his apartment. They share a bank account. If you have a relative in the military, like I do and many of our listeners do, that can make sense to you.
Sure. And because Sam was so determined and everyone was like, he had a great support system, so he calls a member of his support system. Julie says, these texts are weird, but of course I'm going to come over.
Absolutely.
Like, what do you need? So Steve Hare walks into his son's apartment. His son is not there, but the dad discovers Julie's dead body. Now, his son isn't there, but Julie,
is there.
Best friend, is there, and she is dead.
Has been brutally murdered. He freaks out, calls 911. We hear the call.
There's a body in my son's apartment.
There's a what?
A body, a dead body.
A dead body? Is it someone that you know, sir?
I have no idea who she is.
Does your son know who it is?
He's not here. Jesus, honey.
Okay.
My son, who I'm often concerned about, is missing, and there is a dead body in his apartment, and then your world is over. Like, I mean imagine being...
No, I can't imagine.
Yeah.
News is getting around the apartment complex quickly.
Yeah.
Like, imagine, like, in a rumor mill like that, I'm sure everybody knows in 2 seconds.
And also, everyone is just still hanging out. So Violet is with BFFs Dan and Rachel.
Yeah.
And Dan is immediately wondering... So they hear this horrible news that one of their best friends is missing, Sam, and another one of their best friends was just found murdered in Sam's apartment.
Yeah.
Dan's first reaction is, oh, shit, was I the last person to see Sam?
Right.
And Rachel instantly only has a splitting headache.
Right. And Violet's husband is like, girl, find everybody. Like, but I mean, at this point, there's a mad killer on the loose in the apartment complex.
And where is Sam? Did Sam do this? Is Sam in danger?
I mean, it seems like Sam did it, right? Because like she's dead and he's missing.
Right.
And we know that he's been having night terrors and reliving moments from the war. Like, it's bad.
And he's begging her to come over. We have those text messages. Like, what is going on?
Yes.
So Ed Everett is the officer who responds to the scene, and he says it looks like Julie has been sexually assaulted. I'm going to say that we will learn later that that's not true.
Yes. And I just wanted to point out here that like Rachel is also mad because now the whole vibe is off in the building. She's like, these are my new best friends. It's affecting the whole atmosphere.
Rachel.
Like, not a tear is shed from this girl.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's she's so, and especially because we learned, like, Julie was shot twice in the head.
Yeah.
So her pants were pulled down. So that's why they thought she was sexually assaulted. She was not.
Yes.
But on her sweatshirt, someone wrote, "All yours, fuck you."
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, like, this is super fucking dark.
Yeah. Right. And like, and Rachel, who's just like bystander, lives next door, friends with Julie, friends with Sam, has no real emotional reaction
Why
to
isn't
any
anyone
of this.
caring about Rachel's headache?
I know.
Rachel has a headache.
She has a headache and the vibe is all off in the whole building.
That's Rachel.
Yeah.
The vibe is off because of you.
Right, exactly.
So we learned, Sam was in Afghanistan, and he sometimes has night terrors, which are as awful as they sound. I have not had them, but I know people who have, and they are absolutely horrifying.
Yes.
And we learned that in 2002,
he had done some jail time.
Back in 2002, at 18, Sam Hare was charged in the murder of another teenager. He was acquitted, but Sam's dad knew that, in hindsight, it didn't look good.
He was acquitted, but like, I would like to know more about that.
Right. And Steve, his dad, is here to be like, okay, this looks really bad.
Yes.
I know that my son has kind of been going through it. I know what the cops think. I need to find my son right now to get to the bottom of this. I know he wouldn't do it. He was really, really on the right track here.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
And the cops are like, we're with you on the we got to find him right now front. Not so much on the same reason why.
Yeah, prosecutor Matt Murphy agrees.
We've seen Matt Murphy a bunch.
Right. He's kind of like a mainstay on Dateline in 2020.
Yeah.
And he was also the lawyer in Keith's I Don't Give a Sweet Flying Fuck episode in A Lonely Place.
He's also so dashing. He's like such a perfect dashing prosecutor.
He knows how to wear a suit.
He does.
He wears the hell out of a suit.
The
suit doesn't wear him. He wears the suit. You know?
He wears the suit.
They're always like a really nice blue or like a slate gray.
Yeah.
He's good at suits.
He's good. He's also really working the salt and pepper. You know what I mean?
He looks great.
That can go one of two ways. It's going the right way for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Matt Murphy's like, I want to find your son too, so I can charge him.
Right.
Now, everyone's looking for Sam. His dad, the cops, his friends, the neighbors, the prosecutor. Everyone is looking for Sam.
So the police go to talk to Rachel, and she said that she had seen Sam earlier in the day, that he was with a man in a black hat, but it was somebody that she didn't know. Remember, Rachel knows she's the mayor of the complex.
Yeah.
She doesn't know this guy in the black hat.
And now, meanwhile, Sam's father is channeling Columbo, and he's checking the bank records because they share an account.
Yeah.
And he's really trying to like get to because he, I think, probably I would like want to get to my son before somebody else does.
I would I need a bat signal. Like if Daisy's ever missing for whatever reason, like we need to be able to get, and like also like if you're Sam's dad, it could be that he could have harmed himself.
Exactly.
Like anything could have happened.
Yeah, he's super worried. So
it seemed a potential lead. Meanwhile, Steve found there were recent transactions on the bank account he and Sam shared. The trail led to Long Beach, where Sam's ATM card was used to order a pizza.
I don't know why I want to stop on the dad and Sam's sharing a bank account, but I want to pause there for a second.
Okay.
That really tells you a lot about Sam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It really tells you that I think that Sam was really going through something and really needed help. Like he's, I think, 26.
Yeah.
And his dad needs to be on his bank account. Like, we've got to take better care of our service people.
100%.
We've got, like, every time it comes up, we've just got to take better care of these people.
Yeah. And it sounds, which is so sad too, it sounds to me, again, based on only what Josh Mankiewicz has been telling me, is that like Sam's doing the work.
Yes.
He has the tutor. Maybe they had fights about the bank account, but like his dad has a key to his apartment. Like it feels like he's working whatever program he's in, so to speak.
Night terrors are something to behold.
They're horrifying. They're like out of a movie. It's
it is such an indicator of like a really low mental health situation.
Or just as someone who's seen an unbelievable amount of trauma.
Yes.
That is just trying to work through it. And, and it's
so I don't mean to like go on and on and on about it, but I've just seen it firsthand. can. Our soldiers come back. We don't take care of them. We ask the world of these people, and then they come back. We don't take care of them. Like at 26 years old, the dad's got to be on the bank account. Made me really sad for Sam. Is all I'm saying.
And Sam's like fucking doing his best.
He's trying,
right?
yeah. But thank God he is, because we can see that a pizza has been ordered down in Long Beach, and so they stake out the house where the pizza was delivered to. They say guns out, like a murderer is inside.
The cop is like, we're at 100. We're for sure at 100. Guns out. The cops are wrong.
This gets bananas so fast.
They manhandle and handcuff 17-year-old Wesley Freilich. And Wesley...
What Wesley is about to say to us, I had to unplug my headphones so Steve could hear it.
Wesley goes...
Sitting in front of officers of the law, handcuffed, I'm obviously, literally, I'm sorry I can't say this other G-rated, but my balls were inside of me. I was shitting myself, and I was nervous as all hell.
My balls were inside of me. I was shitting myself, and I was nervous as all hell.
He said, I'm sitting in front of officers of the law handcuffed. Like, this poor 17-year-old kid, he's so scared. He's a 17-year-old community theater actor.
Yeah.
We're going to get to that in a minute. He says, my balls were inside of me. I just was like, oh my God.
Like, Wesley.
I know. This poor kid, he just tried to order a pizza.
Now, see, Wesley's like, what the fuck? So Wesley had no idea who Sam is. He's never heard of him. He doesn't know anything about a murder. And I'm like, well, how the hell did you get his ATM card then, Wesley? Wesley has a story.
Yeah.
Wesley got it from a guy he knew.
Yeah.
And this is a story that only a hungry 17-year-old boy would believe, to be honest.
Totally.
We have
just starving for a pepperoni pizza.
We also have B-roll of Wesley skateboarding. Did you see what the billboard is?
No.
There's a billboard for jeans that says, wanna bet a butt? Betta with an A. Wanna bet a butt?
Wanna bet a butt?
Wanna bet a butt?
Who doesn't want to bet a butt?
I don't know what kind of jeans that is, but it's like Wesley's doing like kick flips or whatever on the skateboard. And I'm like, wanna bet a butt? Sure.
Totally.
What are you offering?
I got a pretty good butt, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'll take a better one.
I think we got two good butts.
We got two. This is a podcast full of good butts.
You know? They're like, it's very rare that I'll say like maybe even like kind of. Is that a nice thing she said about herself? Like, I got two things.
What's the other one?
Cheekbones.
Oh, 4 days.
I feel really great.
Yeah.
That's like everyone has a thing that they're like, oh, that's like I won some. Everyone has won the genetic lottery in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I have great eyes, but they're covered by glasses, so you can only see them when I take them off.
I mean that they're covered.
Yeah,
it's true that you have nice eyes. Sorry,
no, you don't.
That's
girl.
not how I meant it.
You absolutely do not. Your eyes are horrible.
I just meant that like you can see how nice your eyes are.
Oh,
they're not
thank
like
you.
blocked by that. I mean now they are because they're kind of glare from the light. But yeah, usually you can see them. I want you to feel like you won the genetic lottery and also feel like, oh, and everyone knows it.
Okay, great. I'm not walking around with like duct tape over my eyes.
You know what I want to hear, dear listener? I want to hear what you're like. My
lottery?
blank is awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me.
Totally.
I want to know.
Put it in the Facebook group, fam. We're going to start a thread. That's perfect.
What's
I love
the thing
it.
that people accuse you of having work done about?
Yes.
But it's natural. Do you know what I mean? That's what I want. That's what I want to hear. Like, oh, my lips. Oh, my.
Yeah.
Even if it's an elbow, show me like your hot or like your shoulder or something.
I'm working on my shoulders.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about the natural.
For the listeners.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, green eyes over there.
And thank you. So anyway, this Wesley, the guy who gave him the debit card, told him a story.
That he worked for a bail bondsman agency and that he wanted me to withdraw money from an ATM for legal reasons.
Wesley said he believed the guy because it was a fellow actor he looked up to. Rachel Buffett's fiancé, Dan Wozniak.
And I'm like, Wesley, why did you believe him? And he goes, well, he's a fellow actor I look up to.
I know.
Now, was the pizza part of the legal reasons?
We don't know.
Like, was it dealer's choice and Wesley chose pizza? I guess we'll never know.
We'll never know.
But guess who this actor / bail bondsman / mentor is?
Dan Wozniak.
Of Dan and Rachel fame.
They're the couple that may or may not be in love, but they're getting married tomorrow. Remember them?
Yeah, we hate them.
We hate them.
So the cops track Dan down at his bachelor party of all places.
I mean, they're getting married married tomorrow.
Yeah.
Like at the time when Dan is hauled in, they're getting married the next day.
Yeah. And they charge him as an accessory for Julie's murder. Now, Sam is still missing. We don't know where Sam is.
Yes.
And because of this like pizza bail bondsman legal reasons story, thanks to Wesley, he's arrested at his bachelor party.
And he tells, we see the interview with Dan, and he tells the cops, Sam confessed to him that while drunk and on drugs, Sam asked Julie for sex. She said no, so he then shot her twice in the head.
Now, this is extra weird because of all those weird texts of like, no sex, no sex, no sex. Like, this is like red flags all over the place. Like, nothing about this story makes sense. It's a Swiss cheese story. It's full of holes.
And then Dan says, now that after Sam told me that he killed Julie, he then threatened me and Rachel, so I had to help him escape. And he says that Sam offered Dan money, and Dan took the money to help pay for the wedding.
Right. So just to recap, Sam, who is missing, killed their friend Julie and then threatened Dan and Rachel is literally neither here nor there. We don't know where Rachel is right now. And then offered to pay Dan.
Right.
And Dan's like, perfect. I love this. Here's the only, just one little flaw. My bachelor party is in like 45 minutes. So can we make this quick?
Can we get it? And one other thing I got to tell you, says Dan.
But as to the anonymous man in the black hat, Dan had a confession to make.
He doesn't exist. That's a lie. That's a 100% proved lie.
That guy 100% does not exist. That was 100% a lie.
And the cops are like, oh, wow, we have like a lot to get to here. Like everything is bullshit.
My question is, when you're the guy telling the bullshit story, do you ever expect to get away with it? You know what I mean?
I think
if you ever find yourself in a situation where you think that you're being believable, you're like, oh, this probably sounds crazy to the cops, but I bet it's actually believable because it's so crazy. No, it just sounds crazy.
You know who always believes it?
Who?
The fucking actors. Remember Killer Roll?
Yes.
She believed it.
Totally.
It's the actors who think that they're so like, good, like they're fucking Meryl Streep, that they're going to get one over. I think everyone else kind of has that pit in their stomach where it's like, this is just a Hail Mary. Like, well, I'll see what happens. It's the community theater kids.
Oh my God.
Who always think they're getting away with some shit.
The community
Because this was Killer Roll all over again. Remember, she threw herself on the floor, took her shoes off, like fake throwing up.
I want you to know community theater is about 99.999% safe. Go and do your community theater without fear of getting murdered. That almost never happens.
Right.
But if it does happen with a community theater kid, they're going to go whole hog with their story.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's always the ones that have the biggest ego and like the smallest talent. I know. Because like I love, whatever.
Yeah.
It's, again, not all community theater people.
Right.
So the cops go to the apartments to talk to Rachel. And she really hopes this is all wrapped up before tomorrow's rehearsal dinner.
Like, oh my
God.
God.
Like, and also, has anyone asked about her headache?
I know.
So the cops know that Dan is full of shit. He knows more. He's already lied a bunch. Like something's off with Dan.
Yeah.
So they bring in Rachel as a way to get Dan to confess. The cops think Rachel is on their side.
Right. Yes.
She's not.
No, but Rachel also thinks the cops are on her side. They're also not.
They're not.
We'll find that out later.
Sweetheart.
I know.
No.
But like the other thing too is like Rachel, like you got to walk in there and like pretend to be a little bit surprised.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's no
Because we
surprise.
see this. We see the entire thing on the camera.
Right. So Rachel's like, hello, Dan. Hello, Daniel. And Dan's like, hello, Rachel.
Hello, Rachel.
What brings you here? So we see the video. Dan tells Rachel the same story he told the cops. Sam killed their friend and then threatened Dan and then offered to pay him. The cops talk to Rachel alone.
Yes.
And she's like, well, here's the thing, coppers. Me and Dan, the like of my life, love of my life.
The friend of my life.
That guy over there, Dan.
The community theater co-star of my life.
That guy. That guy I'm stringing along. We were going to get evicted.
Dan had to borrow money to make the rent. She said Dan had told her only recently that he'd borrowed the money from dangerous people.
He told me the people were going to come break his legs, and he was scared out of his mind.
And these guys are going to come over and break Dan's legs. And I'm like, Rachel, what does this have to do with anything?
Well, the other thing, too, is that this story sounds like bullshit. It isn't. Like, that's going to be when we get there, it's like...
Remember when I said everyone in the story is crazy?
Everyone in the story is insane. Everyone. There's, like, not a good person in this whole thing.
I mean, it's...
Especially the one who thinks he's a good person is not.
Like... we'll get to it.
We'll get to it.
So here's what happens. The $2,000, Joshy Manx tells us that the $2,000 was due to, quote, the leg breakers.
So to be clear, Dan had borrowed money from bad people. It was $2,200 and payday was upon them. Right. And if they didn't pay the money back, they were going to get their legs broken.
Right. So $2,000 due to the leg breakers. Thank you, Joshy Manx. Sam, who is missing, picked up Dan to go make the payment.
Yes.
Rachel's like, okay, great. They're all making the payment. Dan comes home without Sam, and suddenly Dan has an extra $400.
Yes. Now, Rachel and Dan were broke. So, like, when Dan and Sam went to make the payment, Rachel's not being like, where'd you get the $2,000, Dan?
Right.
You
or like,
what I mean?
Why did you come back with an extra $400? Like,
exactly.
What is this
She's
all about?
asking no questions.
Now, the cops ask Rachel a question.
Did he tell you about this? Did he tell you his involvement? Know anything about this?
Hells no.
Hells no.
I know.
But the pause and everything. Hells no. So Rachel,
I gotta tell you, I kind of believe her.
No, you don't. Really?
Oh, there's more to it. We'll get to it. We'll get to it.
You think she didn't know anything?
I just have. If anything, I guess what I can say is that her plausible deniability is pretty good, especially because Dan never throws her under the bus.
Okay, so it's not because of her acting.
It's not her acting.
Okay, great.
It's not her acting.
So Rachel now runs to Violet, the neighbor.
Yes.
Rachel is hysterical. Dan has been arrested. Oh my God. And I'm like, well, there's a lot more to it than that.
Yes.
Rachel,
right.
Rachel's running all over town telling everyone, oh, the wedding is off. And I'm like, also, your best friend Julie was murdered. Also, probably by your other friend Sam, who's also missing.
Right.
The life as you know it has just exploded. Nothing will ever be the same.
No.
Ooh.
But
are we going to get that deposit back because the wedding's off? Like, this is Rachel being like, me. The drama, the drama. The worst fucking bridezilla there is.
It's terrible. So we're back at the police station. Dan goes to speak to the cops again.
And this time, he said something that blew the case wide open.
I'm crazy and I did it.
You did what?
I killed Julie and I killed Sam.
I killed Julie and I killed Sam. Cuts to Josh because Steve was sitting at the desk next to me. I'm watching on headphones. My jaw hit the floor.
Yeah.
And Joshy Makes goes, you didn't see that coming.
Sure didn't, Joshy.
Like, oh my God. I screamed. I did not see this coming.
No. So Dan has yet another story.
Yeah.
Here's Dan's new story. Dan and Sam, who is missing, drive to a theater that Dan knows about. I'm like, okay,
community
thanks for the
theaters
details.
all over Southern California.
Dan asks Sam, who is missing, to help him move something in the attic.
Now, if you're Sam, are you kind of like, what am I doing?
This didn't happen. The story didn't happen.
Oh, right. No. Okay, got it. I don't know. I mean, I don't know because he says that they go up to the attic to move something, and when Sam leans over to move the thing, Dan shoots him twice in the back of the head.
Right.
If it didn't happen there, where did it happen?
Well, I'm sure it wasn't like, I mean, maybe Sam was being nice enough to say like, sure, I'll help you.
I mean, I guess it
like,
doesn't
come
make
with me to the creepy attic in the theater.
But also, like, I guess now, and I'm not saying this as a joke, I'm not trying to be crass, but like, there'd be blood and guts all over that attic of that theater. So somebody would have, like, and we haven't heard anybody who's seen that, so who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
But Dan has to leave because he's going to miss his cue. It's almost half hour.
He has just murdered his friend Sam, in his telling, in the attic of the theater.
Yeah, he's got a show to do. It's called 9. And this is why Robbie's like, oh, you didn't do the 9 one yet?
I know.
So Dan is performing with Rachel. That very night, they are starring in the musical 9. We see video of the performance.
It's wild.
Josh says, Dan showed no signs of stress, to which I reply, yeah, no signs of talent either. Right.
You'd be a harsh critic. Harsh critic, Pensacola.
The harshest. Again, everyone else, cast, crew, lighting, front of house, everyone, you're superstars.
You know,
these two, no.
It is just wild. We see the video from that evening's performance, and he is not rattled he killed 2 people that day.
Right.
And goes and does a show that night.
And does a show.
Yeah. So during the performance, I guess when he's not on stage, that's when he's texting Julie from Sam's phone, pretending to be Sam. And that's when he's saying, after the show, please, like, come at midnight.
No sex, no
come
sex,
alone,
no sex.
Yeah. That's when those texts are being sent.
Right. So Dan continues. After the shitty performance, everyone else was great. After the show, Dan goes to Sam's apartment, waits for Julie, quote, lures her into the bedroom, and Dan says that he killed Julie. He shot her twice in the back of the head.
Yeah.
And he also admits to writing that really creepy thing on Julie's sweatshirt, all yours, fuck you.
Right.
And he also says that he split Julie's pants with a pair of scissors.
Right. And so then the next day is when he disposes of Sam's body. We're not told where. And then that night goes and gives another, quote, pitch perfect performance.
Lackluster performance.
Yes, better description.
You know?
And we see a scene from that too.
And someone finally is like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you doing this?
And your motive behind killing Sam was
Money and insanity.
Money and insanity. Okay.
And then he laughs.
He laughs.
He says money and insanity, and then he laughs.
And he says that he wanted Sam had $60,000 that he'd saved up from his combat pay.
Can we stop on that for just a second?
Sure.
Like, this is money that this beautiful man, hard earned by defending our country, saved $60,000.
Yeah.
And this piece of shit is going to murder him for it.
And not just murder Sam. That is horrifying. In addition, he's going to kill Julie and frame Sam.
Yeah. No,
to steal his money.
We know he's got the debit card, right? But like, you cannot withdraw $60,000 on a debit card. Like, how were you planning to get that money, you stupid fucking moron?
And also, like,
it makes me the $60,000 in combat pay.
I know.
Breaks my heart.
I know, it's horrible. But I still don't get why. And then I'm like, oh, this is a crazy person.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
I can't keep trying to understand it.
It's just like, how many of these do we have to do where the people are murdered for nothing? For nothing.
It's so senseless.
How were you going to get that 60? You had no plan to actually get that money. So what? Sam's on the run, but he's still getting money from the ATM down the street from Dan's house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
And then to lure Julie like that, and it's like Julie thought she was helping her friend. Just like the manipulation of it, but also the poor planning too. That's where I get stuck at it, right? Because it's like you thought to do all of this, you lured Julie, you did this, you got Sam to go up into the attic, like, and then what?
Right.
So you thought enough to make the worst decision a person could make.
Yeah.
And then that's when your thinking stops. After it happens, you're just like, well.
Because you had no plan to actually get the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
there was no
plan
plan to actually get the fucking money.
If you're going to do the worst thing you could do.
Yes. All of it is tragic and horrible, and no one murder is any sadder than the other. But the idea that Julie had to be killed to cover his tracks and then also to make it look like Sam did it, it was just like...
Sam, who's like trying his best,
right.
and Julie, who's trying to help him, you're just going to like disparage it's so senseless, and I don't understand it, but we are not done.
We are not done.
So Dan Wozniak was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder, but there's a lot more to the story. Enter Chris Williams, singer, performer, Canadian.
Now, no, lesbians, we are not speaking of that Chris Williams, singer, performer, Canadian. There is a Chris Williams. Oh, no, it's Chris Williamson. Oh, man. But you know her. You don't know her. She's my mother's, like, one of my mom's favorite singers.
What if I was like, how dare you? She's my second cousin. No, I don't know who Chris Williamson is.
Waterfall filling up, spilling over. Oh, my God. It is. Look up Chris Williamson. She's incredible.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but this is not her.
No, this is Chris Williams.
Yeah.
And Chris starts telling this really moving story.
In early 2010, Chris was undergoing some serious health problems. The working musician didn't have insurance, so his friends organized a benefit concert.
A couple thousand people showed up. It was pretty amazing.
Raising money to keep you healthy.
Yeah.
And it worked. Here you are.
It did. It sure did.
Thousands of people came through for Chris.
Now, I hate to keep being the wet blanket. That is awesome. I'm so glad that they did that.
That's wonderful.
Our healthcare system is so fucked.
It's so fucked.
That you have to, like, raise money for your friends. We don't know what the disease was. We don't know what, but it was like, it required thousands of people donating money for him to be able to, like, recover and be okay.
Like, someone had to start a movement to help save this guy's life instead of, like,
that is not okay. We should not be doing GoFundMes for our friends. No. Everybody should be like, it makes me crazy.
For healthcare? Yeah. Absolutely not.
And, like, all of these things that are really sweet stories that people come together to whatever, but like that becomes the story and not the fact that they had to do that.
They shouldn't have to.
Like it makes
100%.
It makes me crazy.
100%.
Anyway,
I
sweet story. Thanks for giving him money, but oh my God.
Okay, well,
sorry.
Chris, no, I agree with you.
Yeah.
Ooh, you want to ruin Thanksgiving again next?
Yeah.
Let's do like the wet blanketry of it all. Ooh.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving sucks. You could still be with your family. I'm just saying, like, just think about the indigenous people, please. Thank you. So sorry. Not sorry at all. So Chris, again, Dan and Rachel are like 20-year-old kids, and all of their friends are like pushing 30.
Yes.
I don't understand it, but I'm just saying, like, it's Violet, Sam, and now Chris, who's like an older figure.
That like Rachel and Dan are living beyond their means in this fancy apartment building. Like their money troubles are real.
But
they
Chris
really
doesn't
were
have
broke.
a ton of money either.
Right, yeah.
Sam doesn't have a ton of money either. They're just sort of surrounding themselves with people who are older than them, who are also a little bit vulnerable, I guess.
Yeah, and Chris was like charmed by Dan and Rachel. He was like thrilled to make friends with both of them. They were really good to him. And Chris now learns that Dan and Rachel are having money trouble. So he decides to lend them some of the money that had been raised for him.
To pay it forward.
But he also needs that money back. So like Chris does something really stupid.
Okay.
Like, this is I'm sorry, nobody is calling Chris out for this, but this is fucking stupid.
This is stupid. And okay. So Chris wants to make sure he gets his money back.
Yeah.
Because as we know, Chris has his financial issues as well.
Now, I'm sorry, having been on the receiving end of like needing money and then not being able to pay it back, like if you can't lend somebody thousands of dollars who doesn't have the money in the first place and think you're ever going to see it again.
Well, right. Okay, so let's slow down.
Sorry, I'm going off the rails.
But I agree with you. So Chris lies to Dan and Rachel. He's lending them the money in the short term. He wants to make sure he gets his money back. So instead of just saying that.
So I said, well, I can't lend you the money personally, but I know people I could get it from. But they're not good people, so we got to get it back.
This money belongs to really bad people, so you have to pay it back to me or all three of us are going to be killed.
Now, I want to point out something that I just realized.
What?
Chris lent them $2,000. When Dan is paying it back, it's $2,200.
Yeah.
Dan is paying interest.
Yeah.
Chris is charging them interest.
Well, that's what the bad guys would do.
That's
out of the mafia.
Chris.
That's out of the mafia playbook.
But these bad guys don't exist. It's Chris's money.
Now, my thing is, if you have to do this, maybe don't lend the money.
No.
Or either don't give it to them at all or give it to them knowing you'll never get it back.
Yes. I mean, that's the Oprah thing. Like, Oprah's like, I never lend any money more than $50 and expect to see it back, you know?
Yeah, like, if my friend was in need and I gave them,
of course,
whether it's $50 or $2,200, I'm never like, ooh, do you have that?
No. But also,
unless it's like a formal loan.
But that's what this feels like. It feels like Chris wasn't lending them money. He's trying to make money off of them. He lent them $2,000 expecting $2,200 back. Chris, that's fucked.
Is he just not saying the amount of money because it's like what's 200 and what's 2,000 and what's 22,000?
We know that he lent them $2,000 and we know that Dan was trying to pay back $2,200.
And then he came back with an extra $400.
Yeah, so no one's doing the math here. I'm just saying the loan was for $2,000, but he's got to pay back $2,200. Like, because that's what he's saying. Like, these are loan sharks. You gotta, anyway. This is all beside the point.
It's beside the point.
The point is when Rachel is saying to the cops, really bad people were after us. They were gonna break our legs if we didn't pay back that $2,200 that day. Rachel and Dan really believed that.
Because
Chris told them that.
Right.
They did not make that story up. The reason they needed money so desperately was because they feel like they're about to be killed by the really bad guys that Chris got the money from who don't actually exist.
And Chris only lends them this money for like a week, which is also a weird thing. Then don't do it at all
exactly.
Then. Like, how is this helping? I
do wonder if anybody would have been killed if Chris had just been like, here's $2,000, pay me back when you can. Not like really bad guys are going to come and break your legs today if you don't give me the money back.
Right, or being a stickler and saying like $20 a day, or don't do it then. If you want to help the kids out, I think they're all both assholes, but I'm just saying either do it or don't.
I'm not blaming Chris for the murder. The murderers are responsible for the murders. But I am saying, like, Chris, stop trying to look like a good guy. Like, you're not a good guy in this story.
And the $60,000 combat pay was to finance their lives for a couple of months. It's not $2,000 that they're looking for.
Yeah,
please.
Yeah.
So they want to pay for the rehearsal dinner and the wedding and whatever. So when Chris shows up to the apartment, Chris, who's lying about why he needs his money back, just say you want your money back.
Right.
If you have to lie, this is a bad
just
idea.
Be like, girl, I'm sick. That's my sick money that my friends raised.
It's so weird. Like, you can have $2,000 for like 4 days, but I need it back by Friday.
With interest.
What is this?
I know.
So Chris shows up to collect for the bad guys. And when he gets to the apartment, it's Dan, Rachel, and Sam, one of our victims, all in the apartment.
Yeah.
Now, Dan and Sam leave. Chris hangs back with Rachel.
Yeah.
And Chris is like, I guess they'll be back in 10 minutes? No.
3 hours later, Dan Wozniak returned without Sam.
And he throws his $400 down right in front of me. And he's like shaking, and there's this like wild look in his eyes.
It's supposed to be $2,200. He gives him the $400.
He like throws the $400 at Chris. And Chris is like, hey, man.
Yeah, like it's not that big a deal. Although, Chris, it is that big a deal.
Chris, why don't you just tell the truth now?
Right.
If someone was gone for 3 hours and this kid is in worse shape than when he left, and I hate Dan Wozniak, I'm just saying, Chris, why don't you just tell them that you lie? Like, everyone here is crazy.
Because Dan believes bad guys with guns are going to come and blow out his knees in the next hour. And so Chris is looking at them and he's like, is this $400 like every last dime you have in the world? Once again, Chris wants us to think he's a great guy because he peels pulls off a 20 and hands it back to Dan and then goes on his merry way.
Now, the thing that we're forgetting here is that Dan is a nervous wreck because he just killed Sam.
Yes.
He's not just worried about the loan sharks and the mafia guys breaking his knees. He also just killed somebody.
And I'm thinking, because again, he killed Sam to get that 60 grand. And I think maybe he's now realizing I have no plan to get that money.
Of course.
I found that 17-year-old skateboard punk who's in the play with me, but he can only take out like $200 at a time. I got to get $2,000 in the next hour. Like, it's never worth it. It's never worth it.
So Chris leaves them $20 for dinner, and Rachel calls.
Yeah. Now, some time has passed.
Yeah.
And I think Rachel and Dan are doing some math in their heads.
And this is weird.
Yeah.
And around 20 minutes later, says Chris, Rachel called.
And Rachel goes, I think you left a 20 here. I think you dropped some money. You should come back. And I said, I'm not coming back. I didn't drop a 20. I left a 20 so you guys could get dinner. And she goes, no, you should come back.
And Rachel goes, no. You have to come back. Come back here now.
It went from oh, girl, you got to come back to girl, you got to come back.
And Chris is like, no.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back. Chris did not go back.
Yeah.
Chris will eventually learn that all of that happened the day that Sam and Julie were both murdered by Dan.
Right. And so when Chris puts that together, that whole day when they were weird and the money was also the day that Sam and Julie were murdered, when he figures that out, he calls the cops right away to tell them. Something is going on with these two.
So after that phone call, the cops haul Rachel in, and they're like, we had a very interesting conversation with your friend Chris. Why didn't you tell us any of this earlier?
Because in the timeline of all of this, Rachel's already been interviewed by the cops. And now they're like, you didn't tell us anything about the stuff that Chris just told us all about.
And remember, they sent her in to talk to Dan thinking that they were on her side.
Yeah.
So we have the video of her and Dan being like, what's up? Nothing. What's up with you? Nothing. What's up with you?
But the thing that makes me mad here is that Chris also didn't tell the cops, oh, I told them that I got this money from bad people.
He's telling Joshy Manx now.
Right, because the cops are saying to Rachel, why didn't you tell us about this loan? Why didn't you tell us about the money? And she's like,
because honestly, I was afraid that if you knew that Chris had seen us that day, I don't know who Chris knows, and I don't know if he knows anybody bad.
I didn't tell you because it came from bad guys. It came from bad people. I'm afraid that if I told you, it would get back to the bad people, and now they'd want to kill me and Dan. And I kind of believe her here. Mm-hmm. It is at least a plausible reason as to why she didn't tell them. Because remember...
that part, sure.
And Rachel's not making it up. She believes this. She believes that bad guys are coming to get them because that's what Chris told them about lending them the money.
I'll buy that.
Yeah. So I believe Rachel in this moment. I left it out because I was afraid of getting more entangled with the bad guys.
Yeah, but too fucking bad.
I know.
Because two of your best friends are dead, too bad. It's all on the table now.
Yeah.
Do you want to find out what happened or not?
But I in the moment...
Unless you know it's all connected. Unless you didn't tell about the bad guys because my fiance, who I'm not even really that into, had to kill to get the money for the bad guys.
Or maybe Rachel's thinking maybe the bad guys killed Sam and Julie and now they're going to come and get me.
Maybe.
I'm not trying to defend Rachel. I'm just saying I believe her in this moment.
Okay.
All
right.
That's all. I don't like her. I don't want to go do a Vita with her. You know what I mean? I don't want to go do Cats with her anywhere.
Don't ever do Cats. Can we be done with Cats?
No, the gay one was so good. The Cats Jellicle Ball that they're going to try to bring to Broadway.
That's different.
It was so good.
That's like a ball.
It was a ball.
That's different.
Yeah, it was a ball.
That's not Cats.
I know.
It's not the same.
Oh my God.
So the cops do this thing. They have Rachel take a verbal lie detector test where it analyzes the stress in her voice.
A voice stress analyzer.
Whatever. But they hit her okay, guys, really?
Here, put on this tinfoil hat and breathe into this machine.
And Rachel's been doing her vocal warm-ups all day.
Me. May.
Exhausting.
Why didn't I get into the musical theater program at Emerson? I don't know why.
Exhausting.
I can't figure it out.
So they hit her with this aggressive question. They're like, did you plan the murder with Dan?
Hells no.
She says no. But things are not going well for Rachel. She's never once asked for a lawyer.
That makes me crazy. Where's your lawyer, girl?
She's lying. She's like, she can't keep her story straight. She doesn't seem upset at all. Again, now the story is two of her best friends have been murdered and her fiance did it.
I know.
And she's sitting there like this.
She really is very nonchalant.
She's got nothing.
Yeah.
She's given us nothing.
To me, that is the biggest, because her not being able to keep her story straight kind of tells me that she didn't know. Like, it wasn't like she worked out a story in her head and she memorized a script and she knew exactly where she was and exactly, you know what I mean?
The point is, no matter what she knew or didn't know, right now at this moment, her whole world has exploded and she's sitting here like she's bored.
Right, because she was supposed to get married today.
And her fiance killed her two best friends. That one of them, at least one of them was probably in the wedding.
So they bring her back into the room with Dan, the fiance. And we see her learn in real time that he killed Julie.
What happened? Why?
It was almost like they were looking at each other, feeding off each other, and she was waiting for her next line.
She has no reaction to him being a murderer, Julie being dead, the fact that her whole life has been ripped apart, ripped away from her.
Nothing.
Like, no response whatsoever.
She knew.
Yeah.
Because she knew. So now we're back at the 911 call at the top of the episode.
Yeah.
Dan is in custody. That's why it's recorded, right?
So it's not actually a 911 call. It's their jailhouse calls.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is his, like, big confession to Rachel.
Uh-huh.
Hello? Hi, baby. Hey, like, what's going on? I don't know. Just leave me. Like, what a fucking sad sack loser.
I know.
Not only is he an evil murderer, but, like, he's a fucking loser.
He is.
You want to be with that sad sack the rest of your life?
I know. He gets the lead in community theater productions.
You know what?
I know.
Those two are the two who steamroll everyone.
Uh-huh.
They come in, hey, we're here now. They're the stars of, like, please. They're the worst. And there are people...
Zach and Cassie in a chorus line.
Like, who should be thriving in that community theater, who now can thrive because these two idiots aren't there.
Totally. Justice for, like, the people like me who are mediocrely talented and every now and then should be thrown a lead.
Or just, like, good.
Yeah.
And these two, and you know, how well do you think it's going to go if they don't get the lead? If everyone would have hell to pay. So it's like... I just want to have a decent fucking run, so I guess we'll give the two of them the lead roles to shut them up, and then maybe I can have, like, half of a good time, I guess.
Oh, my God. So he's saying to her, I'm going to go and do something, and you're not going to see me for the rest of your life. He's talking about he's going to go admit to the murders.
Now, we get Rachel's response isn't, oh, my God, no. It's just her robotically saying, no.
Right.
Oh, no.
Well,
Where are the acting chops, girl?
Right. And, like, this is before she knows that he did it. Like, this is, like, you know, technically in the timeline, like, she wouldn't know yet if she didn't already know.
She knows.
So she's not asking him, what did you do? What do you mean? What are you going to do? That I'm not going to see you anymore.
But Dan is fake crying and carrying on in the background.
Yeah.
And Rachel's like,
I love you, baby. You are so insane and so stupid. But I know in your twisted little mind you were doing it because you wanted to be happy with me. And I hate you for screwing it up.
You're so insane and so stupid. And this is not Jack and Rose. You're so stupid, Rose. Rose, you're so stupid. Don't you dare
right.
do that. What are you talking about,
the
Rachel?
The other thing, too, is this continues because he's like, he basically is like, I'm going to confess to the murders. Will you come down to the station? So she hangs up the landline. She gets in the car and the calls continue from her cell phone.
She's like, I know in your beautiful, twisted mind, you only did it because you want to be happy with me. As she's doing this, you hear Dan in the background, wailing and carrying on. Right or wrong?
No, it's true. It's 100%
like
true.
Game over.
I know.
Like, you can't act your way out of a fucking paper bag, number one, but you can't act your way out of this, and it's over.
Can I see the wailing again?
Like, it's just, and I know in your beautiful twisted mind you only did it because you wanted to be happy with me. What does that mean? That they get $60,000 isn't going to last you very long to build a life together.
And also, two people are dead.
Yes, but it's like, what does she, like, even that, like, what does she mean by that?
I know.
Do you want to be happy with me?
And I'm like, the other important thing here is that she's got no tone to her voice. She's not angry. She's not mad. She's not sad.
She,
she's
like,
not crying.
chuckles a little bit.
Yes.
Like, you're so insane and you're so stupid.
They're supposed to get married the next day.
They're not get married.
No. So before Rachel gets there, Dan confesses. And then, like, we get another call of him calling, and now he confesses over the phone. He tells her, I shot them 2 times in the back of the head, and then I grabbed Wesley, and we took money out of his account. Rachel has no response.
None. Because she knew. So the cops think that, one, Rachel knew about Sam and Julie's murders ahead of time. And two, Rachel was most likely present for Julie's murder, which is huge.
Now, the reason they think that is because they think Julie would not have gone into the apartment willingly just with Dan. That's a very good point.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So they don't have enough to charge Rachel.
Well, not with murder anyway.
Right. But November 20th, 2012.
2 years later.
2 years into the investigation, we made a determination. We didn't have enough to charge her for murder.
Instead, on November 20th, 2012, Rachel was arrested and charged as an accessory to murder after the fact.
The only case against her is that she didn't tell the truth.
That's right.
Dashing Matt Murphy, DA, was like, whoa. Rachel lied about major parts of the case. That just cannot stand. Not on my watch.
Yes.
So Rachel pleads not guilty, and she's out on bail. And later that day, true to form, she holds a press conference. And some guy that she's absolutely been cheating with this entire time is like holding her.
I saw that too.
Kind of prom photo-y, but not. It is so awkward and uncomfortable. She's like, babe,
I know,
it's my conference.
The big point here is that Dan never comes out and says she knew. He says she didn't know.
Who is that guy?
I don't know.
Who is that guy?
But that's what I'm saying. If Dan sees her with another man on the fucking press conference, like, is it all going to be game over? Is he going to be like, she totally knew the whole time?
Yeah.
Because Dan is defending her.
And Rachel is definitely like, I want the spotlight, but I like the attention. And is Dan, no one's thinking, but the way he's holding her, I just want.
It's very romantic.
If someone was trying to hold me like that, I'd be like, can you hug me like a normal person? And also, don't touch me right now in the middle of my big performance.
It's opening night.
Like, but it's weird. Like, she's not fully, like, facing forward, and he's just sort of around. And I'm like, we get it. You're the new boyfriend, the new leading man.
My whole thing was like, if Dan sees that, your game is over, Rachel. Like, if you did know and he's like protecting you, don't let him see you with a new hot guy.
I'm waiting for the Rachel defenders to be like, that's her brother. Okay, it's still fucking weird.
It is weird.
I don't care who it is.
It is weird. Yeah.
So December 2015, 5 years after Sam and Julie's murders, Dan and Rachel both go on trial.
Yeah, Dan goes on first. Sam's dad and Julie's mom confront him in court. It is brutal.
Yeah.
You, Dan, are a coward and a poster boy for the need of the effective death penalty in California. My only regret that in this state won't let me kill this coward myself.
Again, like, they shouldn't have had to do this.
No.
And whenever I see people do that, my heart breaks for them. Because they shouldn't have had, and they're so strong to be able to do that. And it's like,
the idea that like their kids were ripped away from them for nothing.
It's so senseless.
Like, I don't know how many tours Sam went on, but he survived the wars.
Yeah.
And he came home and he was killed by this fucking idiot.
I know.
You know?
For what?
I know.
For what?
For nothing.
So Dan is very quickly convicted of murder.
He gets the death penalty.
Yeah. And there's currently, he's in prison because California has a moratorium on executions. So he's sitting in prison. Now, Rachel has been sitting here with Joshy Manx this whole time.
I mean, Joshy lays into her pretty good.
But she's talking about her honest heart.
I know my heart and God knows my heart, and that's my comfort is God's in control and God knows I'm innocent.
You an honest person?
I think so.
Rachel, are you an honest person?
I know.
One fight. Are you an honest person?
And she goes, well, I think I am.
To the best of my ability. I mean, my heart's in the right place.
I know.
And I'm like,
I know.
didn't answer the question, Rach.
I know, and
And you're full of shit.
I don't know. I struggle with whether she knew or not. You know, like, I don't know why Dan wouldn't have thrown her under the bus. You know, like, I believe her that, like, I can see Dan, this idiot, being like, I'm going to be the man. I'm going to take care of this.
You don't think Dan's also the kind of idiot who's like, anything for you, Rachel.
Right.
Anything for you.
Or like, maybe she was the mastermind the whole time. Yeah, it could be.
I don't know. I'm just saying.
It is interesting that there's no evidence showing that she knew. No, I'm not saying that she definitely didn't, but like, I'm kind of in the prosecution side here of like, we can't prove it, you know?
And it's just like, you're getting married, you're in the show together. When would he have time to be away for so long without her knowing? They they were in the bad guy money thing together.
Yeah.
So now it's 2018. Rachel's on trial. It's a felony charge of accessory after the fact. Violet, the neighbor, testified against her.
I love that Violet testified against Rachel. Like, oh my God.
I know. I mean, wouldn't you?
Of course.
Chris Williams, the quote, jazz musician, also testifies. So her defense lawyer gets up there, and everything you're saying, did she know? Did she not know? Why didn't Dan? The defense, that to me goes all out the window when the defense lawyer gets up there and says,
anyone who's ever experienced planning a wedding knows the extreme pressure and stress that goes along with that.
Add murder to that equation, he said, and then an arrest of Rachel's soon-to-be husband.
The incredible stress that she was under with all of these things occurring.
The stress of planning her wedding was just too much for Rachel.
I know.
Even if you had one shred of a benefit of the doubt, that is like, come on, girl.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I mean, the other thing, too, there's the moment with Chris where he's talking about how, like, I'm convinced that they were going to kill me if I went back for that $20.
Yeah.
I do believe that Rachel was in on that. And I do believe that that's probably what would have happened.
Well, if you're in on one murder, that decision was made in an hour.
Yeah.
Hey, girl, come get your $20.
Yeah.
You were in on the other ones. No question.
Yeah, I guess so. It just, I can see, like, the big shocker to me of this whole thing was learning that the bad guys were real to Rachel and Dan. That they didn't make that up, you know? Yeah. I don't think we'd be here if Chris had just been like, here's $2,000, pay me back when you can.
I mean, I think they no. I think the $2,000 bad guy thing is just an absolutely insane detail of an already crazy story.
They needed the money that day. They needed it that day or they were going to have their knees blown out. You know what I mean? Like that to me, you're right though, because they were planning to steal the $60,000 in combat pay.
Yeah.
So like that was part of the plan, but like the desperation of like, we need the money now or we're going to get killed. I don't know. I think that urgency is pretty real to me in terms of like why it was so badly thought out.
Yeah. But then I don't know why they wouldn't just be honest about that part of it.
Uh-huh.
I think they're stupid. And I think they're thinking, well, we can't be honest about that because then we have to be honest about that. Like, if you just lean into the bad guys.
It's also, like, you would also think, and this isn't in the documentary, so we don't know, but, like, you would think that Chris would have been offered some kind of deal. Like, hey, if Rachel was in on this, tell us, we'll make your life a little bit easier. The fact that Dan never flipped on Rachel, that's interesting to me.
It is.
They're never going to get married now. Like, he's on death row,
Can you
know?
Imagine
I know.
They're, like, together.
Oh, my God.
No, she was with the, I don't know.
Of course.
No.
She's out.
Yeah, it just feels so senseless. And to lure Julie in, it's just so fucking horrifying.
It's horrible.
So, but Rachel is found guilty.
The judge sentenced Rachel to 32 months behind bars.
And you lied.
It was the final scene of this real-life drama.
She's been out since like 2019.
I know. You want to know the most insane part of this whole thing?
What?
There was a play based on this that was done this summer, in the summer of 2024, written by Ryan Safon, who is a person I know-ish and like, wrote a play about this that played off-Broadway this summer.
I read that New York Times article today in my research.
I know, inspired by true events. I knew it at the time, but I like forgot.
Did you see it?
No. But but yeah, like, it is such a wild story that, of course, somebody from the theater, it's like it's a murder from the theater. So, of course, somebody from the theater wrote a play about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy.
It's absolutely horrifying. It's horrifying. And she's been out.
I know. That's it.
That's it.
That's all we got. Oh my God, girl. We did, what's it called?
So this is the final curtain. It's one of our bonus episodes.
Yeah, from Dateline. Oh my God. Fam, join us over in the Patreon. I don't even know what we're covering at the time that this comes out, but right now we're in the middle of covering.
Well, tomorrow on Patreon is the second episode of The Black Widower.
Yes.
And then Tuesday on the regular feed, Jailbreak, Love on the Run.
Oh my God. These episodes are wild.
Yeah.
There is so much going on in the true crime documentary world right now.
I know.
It is. Am I going to be able to convince you to do the Zodiac one?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to pressure you. I'm not bullying you here on the air.
I mean, I
just watched it. I was not an Arthur Lee Allen did it kind of guy, but like now there's really compelling new evidence.
Yeah, you know, Arthur Lee Allen's always been my suspect for it.
Yeah.
But I have an open mind all across the board. I just have issues. Well, whatever. If people want it, we'll do it. But yeah, Jailbreak, Love on the Run. And also, Robbie, what'd you think?
Yeah, Robbie, get into the DMs, girl. Let us know what you thought.
What do you think?
Oh my God, fam, we love you. So stay tuned for the trailer for Jailbreak, Love on the Run. That is another wild one.
I know. Crazy.
So crazy.
Really insane. I just don't know. I'm like, these people.
This stuff is just happening in the world around us.
Choices that have been made lately are really, everyone reflect on your choices.
You know what, fam? Go reflect.
Your homework for tonight is to reflect on your choices.
I know. All right, we love you. Goodbye.
We love you. Bye.
Bye.
We love you. Goodbye.
You know what? Everyone go reflect.
You got this older woman who's lonely in the jail, and you got this man.
He was facing a capital murder charge, and she wanted to try to save him.
It's a disgusting romance novel, is what it is.
Every woman wants to feel loved.
You're my queen, my everything.
I wish I could kiss you now. Oh, wow.
We consider Casey White a very dangerous person.
where I'm starting on our adventure.
Nobody knows nothing unless you say something.
I thought, oh my God, she trusted him. Vicky, what have you done? Vicky devoted her life to her job.
I said, when are you going to retire? And she said, soon. And when I go, I'm going out with a bang.
Casey White is a romancer.
You know how much I love you.
They could jail there for a while.
Vicky and Casey left the jail this morning, and they haven't came back yet.
There's no way they're going to pull off a stunt like this and live happily ever after.